The epic adventure Thor spans the Marvel Universe from present-day Earth to the mystical realm of Asgard. At the center of the story is the mighty Thor, a powerful but arrogant warrior whose reckless actions reignite an ancient war. As a result, Thor is banished to Earth, where he is forced to live among the humans. When the most dangerous villain of his world sends its darkest forces to invade Earth, Thor learns what it takes to be a true hero. My expectations weren't too high for Thor. Granted, with enough TV spots, I started looking forward to it, but I wasn't digging the initial footage, I'm not a Thor fan, and most importantly, I was concerned about the actual tone of the film. Thor isn't a great superhero film, but it is a relatively surprising one that is better than I expected. This is a tough character to bring to the big screen, and yet in his first go-around to the big screen, the film succeeds more than other first appearances from other superheroes. Director Kenneth Branagh, who is known for his adaptations of Shakespeare's literature, was the perfect choice for the film considering the family drama and the Shakespeare overtones. He captures the perfect tone as well. If it's too serious, then it'll come off silly, but if it's too campy or silly, then there won't be any weight to it, and people involved in the film won't appear invested. Of course, Thor doesn't have the weight of other superhero films. Keeping within the Marvel Universe, he's not as relatable as Peter Parker in the first two Spider-Man installments. The story doesn't have the prejudice or segregation of the X-Men series, and even his fellow Avenger Iron Man has interesting commentary regarding arms dealing, whether it's entirely politically correct or not. No, Thor is just a good old-fashioned family film where it gives an opposite take on with great power comes great responsibility. In this case, it's with great responsibility comes great power, as Thor has to learn some humility first. Thor's development from arrogant warrior to noble superhero is a little rushed, as more time could have been spent with him and Jane, a scientist played by Natalie Portman, who finds Thor in New Mexico. The film only clocks at 114 minutes, and while it's nice to see a summer film that doesn't have a bloated running time, this film had room to develop some of its underdeveloped characters or relationships, such as Thor's comrades like the Warriors 3 and the female warrior Sif. Thor follows the I'm hot, you're hot, so let's get together formula, but thankfully Hemsworth and Portman have real chemistry. Still though, despite its running time, the film actually doesn't completely desert the world of Asgard, as it refreshingly switches back and forth, allowing the further development of characters like the King of Asgard and Thor's father, Odin, played by Anthony Hopkins, and most impressively, Tom Hiddleston as Loki, Thor's jealous brother. Hopkins doesn't ham it up as much as he does in several other blockbusters, and serves his role well. Thankfully, due to how Hiddleston plays his character and the script's nice attention to his arc paralleling Thor's, Loki is a complex villain whose motivations aren't entirely clear, but that isn't necessarily a bad thing, and by the end, he actually takes the most rational choice out of the two regarding the future of both Asgard and Jotunheim, the home planet of the Frost Giants. He isn't merely just some mustache-twirling villain, as he tries to get the love and respect of his father as his older, but rash brother whom he loves gets the throne. As I said before, Portman is generally believable in her role, and in this day and age, it seems silly when a man or a woman doesn't notice the looks of another individual in a film looking for more complexity. If all women are drooling over Hemsworth, I suppose it's only right that Portman's character does as well. Kat Dennings, like others, adds more comedic relief, but not too much as Jane's assistant. Stellan Skarsgård is actually given quite a bit to do as Jane's mentor, Dr. Eric Selvig, and will probably have some part in the upcoming Avengers flick. Clark Gregg returns as Agent Coulson of S.H.I.E.L.D., an organization that has less intrusion in this flick, unlike the enjoyable but heavily flawed Iron Man 2. Perhaps the S.H.I.E.L.D. storyline works better here than it did in the other flick. Also, Idris Elba is terrific in a small role as Heimdall, the gatekeeper of the Bifrost, the technology that allows teleportation from Asgard to other planets. Jeremy Renner makes a somewhat amusing cameo as Hawkeye, and Rene Russo has very, very minimal screen time as Thor's mother. Then there's Chris Hemsworth. You know, with people like him and Chris Pine of the latest Star Trek, I gotta wonder what is the appeal of the pretty boy but dull Robert Pattinson, who has the personality of a tormented teenage boy. People like Hemsworth and Pine don't only serve as eye candy for the ladies, but they are a guy's guy. They're funny, arrogant, and charismatic. The film really wouldn't work if Thor was humorless and dry. Hemsworth has enough personality to match the character of Thor. Though Kenneth Branagh has never handled a film of this size in terms of spectacle, the action for the most part is well done, though unremarkable. The film effectively uses humor, but there is never one too many fish out of water gags or jokes. The action is competently done, but sort of lacks those necessary beats of an action sequence, feeling somewhat rushed, besides the first one against the Frost Giants. Overall, Thor is generally carried by its performances, the humor, some strong production qualities, and the two arcs of both Thor and Loki. Thor doesn't quite belong with the best of the superhero genre, but it's nowhere near the bottom, and more importantly, I look forward to seeing the character interact with his fellow Avengers. Maybe Robert Downey Jr. won't be acting circles around his cast after all. Final rating, see it. That's it from the Movie Rewind. Have a good day, folks.